We're live. Frankie from Flatbush, Coffee with Frankie. Uh, Let me know if you can hear me out there. This is the coffee. I'm the Frankie. It is Sunday, January the 11th, 2026. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me and see me okay. It's 10 o'clock here on the East Coast. And everything looks okay on my end. This Select a stream. Oh, okay. So that seems to be working. This will give me some data. Phil says audio visual 100%. Well, I don't know if we're ever really 100%, but we'll see. We'll see. We got a Sunday morning. Not a lot going on with the Jets, actually. Actually. Not much news to talk about with regard to the Jets. We got a lot of stuff going on in college football. Who's out? Who's in? Who's coming into the league? Who's not coming into the league? Etc. Etc. And we got the NFL playoffs. Very exciting games. In case you missed it, well, I feel sorry for you because we had some very exciting games yesterday. Panthers out and Packers out. Browns have requested a head coach interview with Nate Scheelhaas, the Rams pass game specialist. So the Browns are getting their house in order. A lot of these, there's a lot of head coaches that need to be hired. There's not a lot of news about what the Jets are doing with their defensive coordinator. They've requested permission for one of the Vikings assistants, the defensive backs coach. Uh, and that's all we know. Maybe we're moving in silence once again. B. Trav is here. Good morning to B. Trav on this Sunday morning. Coffee with Frankie. This is the coffee. I'm the Frankie. We got more playoff games today, ladies and gentlemen. We got more playoff games today. We got 3, in fact, and then 1 more tomorrow. Let's see what this schedule is here. So the Rams barely beat the Panthers, and you saw Matthew Stafford get off to a hot start, and then he stunk it up. Oh no, the finger. He got a bad finger. Oh no. And then the Panthers clawed their way back into it, and then lost in the end when the finger wasn't a problem at the end, I guess. And then you saw a classic, the Packers and the Bears. The Packers get out to a big lead looking like they're going to roll. But then the cardiac kid himself, Caleb Williams, comes all the way back, as he often has done this year. And they pull it out. 31-27, Packers missed, I believe it is 2 field goals and an extra point. No bueno. Kickers are important people, especially for these playoff teams. And so the Bears and Ben Johnson move on. You like Ben Johnson? Well, we got a Ben Johnson disciple in Tanner Engstrand right over here. Okay, then we got today, Sunday, the 11th. Bills and Jaguars kick it off. So will Johnny Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence, get kicked out of the playoffs? Or will it be once again a disappointing end to a season for the Buffalo Bills? And if the Bills lose, would they go so far as to fire old McDermott? Old McDermott had a farm. E-I-E-I-O, and it was in Orchard Park, and they might get rid of him because they're moving into a new stadium. They're tired of the playoff losing? Perhaps. Then you got Robert Saleh's 49ers 49ers against your Eagles. So there's a battle right there. And then to cap it all off, Chargers, Patriots. You got Herbo versus Drake May. Elite versus elite. So which one of those teams with an elite quarterback but imperfect teams will be able to pull it out? We'll find out tonight at 8:15 p.m. And then on Monday, January the 12th, it closes out with the Houston Texans against your Pittsburgh Steelers. And the old man, Aaron Rodgers, the former Jet, the man who said we got too many leaks in the boat, and said lots of other things. But can the hellacious pass rush of the Texans force the old man into a terrible game, and can the Stroud boys pull it out? That's what we're going to find out tomorrow night here on the NFL. We got a bunch of comments. Phil Adams, Ducks got hunted. Yeah, Oregon had a bad game. No running game. The defense got lit up, but it just goes to show you, Indiana's got a hell of a squad this year. Hell of a squad. Alan Dode's cardiac bears are back. Yeah, the cardiac Calebs. Joe Mike says the Michael Clemens era is over. Not necessarily. We could sign him. Phil the Jet Adams says, go Texans. Well, that'll be a very interesting game. It's actually an interesting game. You got the old man against the young man in the quarterback position. They normally have a hellacious defense. The Texans do. Can they show up against the old man who finally made it back to the playoffs? That's what he was trying to do with the Jets, of course, and failed, mostly because of the Achilles. But a very interesting game. Or will he light them up? It'd be interesting to see Aaron Rodgers light up these Texans and send the Texans home again. I don't think the Texans would really seriously consider getting rid of DeMeco Ryans, but it would be kind of a disappointing one for the Texans. They got to pay Stroud here. I think, pretty sure they're going to have to pay him this offseason. So once they do that, if they give him the big money, now you got to cut other things, which will be good for the Jets because we would like some of their players on our team because we need a lot of talent, obviously. We're a little light. No bueno. No bueno. Boycott argument. Arvell Reese changes this team. We just need one guy. Really, one guy's going to run around and change everything. All we need is Arvell Reese. No, we need lots and lots and lots of things. Arvell Reese would be phenomenal, be terrific, but we need Arvell Reese and lots and lots and lots of more than that. I tell you that much. But he'd be nice. He'd be nice. It'll be interesting to see where Arvell Reese goes in the draft. Probably, I mean, certainly a top 10 pick. We wonder if he's going to be a top 5 pick even. Some people have him as the number 1 player in the draft. News from Ian Rappaport. Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers appears open to returning, and he's playing like it. So he wasn't playing that great in the beginning of the year. He has been playing better in the later part of the season, which is kind of interesting. Sometimes you need a fractured left wrist to play at your optimal. So there's lots of stuff going on in college football in terms of the portal and things and guys moving around. But of course, the one thing that everybody needs to take a look at is whether Dante Moore comes in or not. Now, I don't think he's a good fit for the Jets, but if he comes out, you might be able to sell the Raiders on trading with us and them taking him. And they would need, obviously, a development plan for him, which they could easily do by either sticking with Geno or getting rid of Geno and bringing in a guy like a Kirk Cousins, who seems like he's going to get released in March based on his new contract language. That's how it seems. So we'll have to see about all that. All of that. But we'll keep an eye on the college ranks. Uh, Dante Moore's story is going to be a very fascinating one. The some kind of tea leaf thing that happened yesterday was that Dylan Raiola, the mini Mahomes, as they call him, is visiting or scheduled to visit with Oregon. So that might give you some tea leaf beliefs that perhaps they're hearing that Moore is going to declare, but we don't know. Just tea leaves at this point. But within the coming days here, now that Oregon's out, we should be start hearing about not only Dante Moore, but a lot of their players. Kenyon Sadiq, Johnson, their other tight end could go. He's sort of underappreciated, nice little tight end. A lot of people on their defense. So Emmanuel Pregnon, who I would be interested for the Jets as a backup and eventual starter, perhaps. He plays guard. Beat Trav says, long time ago, but remember when Fields beat Lawrence in national championship game? Yeah, Lawrence was still the better quarterback. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people who don't understand how good scouting is supposed to work. It's not like, okay, Fields won the Natty, and did Fields win that, or did Lawrence win the game? Man, my history is terrible. I'm gonna ask Grok. Oh shoot! Almost knocked over my coffee. Hang on a second. You can't knock over your coffee when it's coffee with Frankie. Well, what the hell's going on around here? We cannot, because B Trav made me go into the memory bank. Let's see this. When Justin Fields played Trevor, that was like 7 years ago. Lawrence in the college football championship. Who won? Now, I was not following college football as closely as I'm doing now back then, so I'm only really starting to get in. What? This says they faced off twice in 2019 Fiesta Bowl. Trevor Lawrence's Clemson Tigers defeated Ohio State Buckeyes. Then in the 2020 Sugar Bowl, Justin Fields got revenge, dominating Clemson 49-28. Fields had a legendary. This is what old B. Trav's probably referring to. Justin Fields and Ohio State got revenge. Fields had a legendary performance, throwing for 385 yards and a Sugar Bowl record 6 touchdowns, despite playing through a rib injury, while Lawrence threw for 400 yards but couldn't keep pace. Ohio State advanced to the CFP National Championship game after that win, but they faced Alabama and lost 52-24. So while the two quarterbacks had a highly anticipated rivalry in the playoffs, it was always in the semifinals. Oh, okay. And this is why people were high on Fields. Well, some people. I mean, you got to know who knows what they're talking about, B-Trav. Because some people watched this game with Fields and said, oh my God, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And don't forget, Lawrence and Fields were the two highest rated high schoolers coming into college of all time. Of all time, in terms of quarterbacks. Lawrence number 1, Fields number 2. They got the highest grades of anyone. They were 5 stars, but they had the highest grades of anybody. One's had his ups and downs. Looks like he's on a good track now, Lawrence, and the other one's going to be a backup. That's crazy. So there you go. This is why AI is so good. You just type it in and it just tells you all the stuff. Right, B-Trav? Lou B. Super Jets fans. LOVR period is who we should draft. LOVR. Trade back and get him. I don't know who LOVR is. Jojo Townsell. Jets get a top 2 pick and there's I know, right? It's just our luck. It's just our luck. But you got to love it, JoJo. I mean, if you don't love it, you're going to drive yourself insane. So you got to find it funny. RPM Red Shogun. Hello and good morning. B Trav, maybe it was ND. Well, we just read what it was, buddy. Spin Max Dave, good morning, Frankie. Now what? What do you mean, now what? We got to hire a defensive coordinator. That's what. And got to see how the rest of the stuff plays out. Jet fans were expecting. Oh, okay. A lot of people buried Fields in that draft. That's how we got sacked. Yeah, there was a lot of there was a heated debate, if you remember. You know, a lot of people said, of course, we should take Justin Fields at 2. He's the second best after Lawrence. There was that camp, the Fields camp, and there still is a big Fields camp. And then there were other people saying, no, 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 look at his, look at his throwing mechanics, look at the way he processes. He's not going to ever be able to do it. And it turns out those people were right, of course. And the Jets, yeah, fell in love with Zach Wilson, and the rest is history. Love. Jeremiah Love, the running back? No. If our biggest kryptonite is run D and tight end coverage, Reese is the pick. Well, our kryptonite is having a terrible defense. So we need defensive linemen, we need linebackers, we need safeties. So that's a lot of needs. Reese would be one of those things. So that's good. That would be good. But we need defensive line, we need linebackers, we need safeties. We probably need some backup corners. The whole defense needs a lot, man. Needs a lot. Well, yeah, Reese would be a good pick. Everything's going to be dependent on what we do with this quarterback position. Would you still draft Dante? Well, I never said I would draft Dante. So for the Jets, Dante Moore doesn't make much sense. Yeah, unless, I mean, it would be pretty risky. Because with Dante Moore, in any case, which is what I said, I forget, I don't know. There's so many videos. But Dante Moore needs a plan. He's 20 years old, 20. So you need to have a developmental plan. So the reason we want him to come into the league, in my opinion, is because you want to try and sell the Raiders on, listen, you could trade back with us, get a haul from us, which they need. They need tons of stuff on their defense and offense. And take and then sign Kirk Cousins as a bridge, and then sit Dante for a year, redshirt year, as you build up the team. And as he's 20 years old, he's got to get his, and then your plan is to start him in 2027, or if he accelerates, at some point next year. But this way, you have a bridge. Then you build up the team through the haul that you get from us, which could include picks, it could include players. Then you say, all right, and that's the plan. It's a good long-term plan. That way, long-term, we have this high upside quarterback, and we build up the team with all these players and picks we get from the Jets, and we don't have to drop any further than 2, where we can go get Dante if you really like him. Now, teams have to really like him. He has to come out first. Then the teams have to really like him, etc. Right now, there's going to be a recency bias against him because he didn't have a great game against Indiana, of course. So there's recency bias against him. But time's going to go on, and people are going to do, if he comes out, people are going to do their normal evaluation, and they may find, actually, this kid has a very high ceiling. So that's why we want him to come out. But I don't think the Jets can do that plan exactly. I think they would prefer to get a Mendoza. Now, we're still going to need a veteran, and we do want them to compete. But Mendoza's more pro-ready, so you would anticipate if he's not the starter day 1, he probably will be by game 5, 6, something like that. And that's the hope you would sell Jet fans also. Like, yeah, it's sort of like the Giants plan. So this is what I've said all along, and you've started to hear Country Club Connor Hughes now stealing it, so I think Country Club Connor watches this show. Hello, Mr. Narcissist. Because if you notice, I started talking about Wink Martindale for the Jets, and then he started talking about Wink Martindale for the Jets. I started talking about, well, the Jets should probably follow the Giants' plan for how they brought Jackson Dart along, and now he's talking about the same thing. The Jets should follow the Giants' blueprint, and it's a good blueprint. It's pretty obvious. I guess you don't have to listen to old Frankie to steal that one. It's pretty obvious. You get a veteran or 2. You put them in there. You say it's going to be. Then you take your quarterback and you say it's going to be a competition, and you hope that the rookie blows it out of the water, just surpasses all of the KPIs that you set for him. And if so, great. But if not, okay. But he doesn't have the pressure of the world on him. He has to compete, which is what these guys are used to anyway. They're used to competing. They're not used to just being given a job without competing for it. And then if you have to start the veteran to start the year, okay, keep the pressure off the kid. But at some point, if he's hitting his KPIs that you set for him, then at some point he comes in, just like Jackson Dart. And look, and Dart has worked out well for the Giants. So that would be the plan for any quarterback that we draft really high, I think. And we would prefer that it be Mendoza. But it's probably not going to be, though. Because no matter what happens, even if Moore declares, I think that the Raiders are going to get fixated on Mendoza. I don't think they're going to trade out. We could make the case. We could make them a good offer. We could talk logically about what they should do, but at the end of the day, I just think they're just going to do the easy thing and just take Fernando. So, um, so in that case, I don't know if we would take uh, Dante at number two. Also depends on who we sign. We could sign Malik Willis. If we sign somebody like a Malik Willis and back him up with a Sam Howell, and then you have or somebody like that, and then you have Brady Cook, that's your threesome. You're probably not taking a quarterback this year. I mean, maybe you take a seventh round flyer on somebody to compete with Brady Cook. But other than that, and then you just hope that Malik Willis works out. And if he does, great. There's your franchise quarterback. If not, then we're back at it in 27. So that's probably the plan. Any chance a team? Probably not. Well, the question is, do you like more? You're going to have to. So the problem with this logic is Moore could surprise you and start in 26 and get a few games of experience. Then if you go to 27, that rookie then has to sit. So now you're talking about 28. The rookie doesn't have to sit, but probably. So do you want to do that? This team, Muji and Glenn need a plan for 26 that's going to be palatable to the fans. Whereas having a rookie that could play in game 6 this year or 7, let's say, that gives you some hope. And hope is important for the fan base because the fan base is very downtrodden right now. Everybody's very negative, as we know. And so hope has to be given and provided. To totally punt, I mean, the only way you could really do it is Malik Willis because he at least has some chance of being really good. He has a chance to. So I don't think they're keen on waiting. Now, if we have to and Moore goes back to school and there's just no options, well, go Malik Willis, go and back him up with Marcus Mariota or somebody like that, and then, you're really putting your eggs into the Malik Willis basket. But there's really, they may be forced into that. There may not be many good options. Sis171. Sadly, Woody Johnson is an owner who falls into the category as his NFL as a purely stable revenue stream. No, I think he'd like to win, but I think he's made some very poor decisions. And if you think about it, he has actually an arc. There's a Woody cycle. And right now we're in the good part of the Woody cycle. He's given Muji and AG a big cash budget for next year per reporting. So that's good. He gets frustrated when he thinks he has a good team and they're losing. And then he makes very poor decisions about what to do in those cases. Clarkson back at 33? No. Spin Max Dave, without Moore, what picture for instance, Simpson or Chambliss? No. Simpson. If you want Simpson, I guess you could squint your eyes about Simpson. I'd probably trade the 33rd pick, trade back, and then maybe try to take Simpson in the third round if I could pick up a third round pick. You could squint your eyes and try for that, but this team needs so much. If you're not going to get Mendoza or do the Moore plan, which I don't like anyway, for us, I like it better for the Raiders. Um, you need so much. You might as well just load up the team and just go with Malik Willis, and hopefully he's able to figure it out. So this person is probably a Notre Dame fan over here, Lou B, Super Jets fan. Okay, we got your information that you think Jeremiah Love is awesome. We got that. No need to keep putting it in to the chat. Frankie, how do we convince coaches to join Aaron Glenn's staff when he might not last the entire season next year? Well, for one thing, that might be a plus. They might say, well, he could get fired and I could get elevated. But this is also why it was so reckless for all of the media and independent media to be screaming one and done. But nobody listens to me. We'll get somebody good to join because we'll give them money. And coaches know they move around. Um, no. Yeah, lots of people's childhood idol was Tom Brady. I do think Brady's going to make the simple choice because Brady's not that smart. So I think it'll be a good fit. I think the Raiders are just going to make the simple choice. They're not going to get cute with it. But I don't think it's a good situation. They don't have any talent on that team. So you're going to drop a rookie into a team with no talent, and he's not going to perform well, probably, and we'll see. And I think they're going to have a problem. But I think he's going number one. I don't think we're going to be able to convince him. All right, Lou B. Congrats, bro. Congrats, bro. Lou B, congratulations to you, sir. Let's go. Thank you, Lou. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see Lou B. All right, Murph is here. Yeah, folks should really join the inner circle. Like Murph. Murph has been getting all sorts of stuff on the posts. And that's where we talk to people in the inner circle. Lots of exclusive items, stuff like that. College grades for the quarterbacks, etc. So I think more people should join the inner circle. Um, just checking to see if there's any news. No, they're previewing the games for today, and not a lot going on in the college ranks at the moment. We should be hearing about some of these Oregon guys who want to come into the draft and who do not. So that would be interesting to know some of that. Murph says incredible stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the great values. I mean, we have a $2 a month level. I mean, it's just $2 a month, and you pretty much get everything. I mean, I should probably give some of the stuff to the higher level people who give at the $5 level. Nobody really gives at the $10 level because y'all a bunch of cheapskates. But um, but yeah, there's a lot of the best stuff is there, and all the grades of the college quarterbacks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, Lindels. I hope they get a quarterback that has potential. Yeah, let's hope so. Alan Dodds is here, and Dodds, as we all know, New Paltz legend, SUNY New Paltz legend Alan Dodds. He played rugby, ladies and gentlemen. Can you imagine this man playing rugby? Well, he did at the college level. He certainly did. So, interestingly, Dick Chimney did not publish a column this week about the Jets. I guess everybody needs a break. Duncan Lloyd is here, enjoying coffee and Jet stock. Yeah, you gotta have the caffeination. Good to see old Dunky Dunk. Dick Chimney's Burner's here. Morning. Morning, Dick Chimney's Burner. 50 in the house, 23 likes. Yeah, please give a like to this video if you don't want to do anything else, or subscribe to the channel. That's free. Subscribing is free. Giving a like is free. Helps the channel. Helps out the old channel of FSVN. And we do a lot of things that other people are not willing to do, like criticize the media when they're being bad. We do give a lot of good praise to the media when they're doing good things. I'll tell you one good one. If you want the gold standard of sideline reporting, like a lot of sideline reporting is pretty horrible, right? We all know that. But if you want to know who is the gold standard for sideline reporting, it's Holly Rowe. She is the best, and she's awesome. So we like to give praise when it's due, when people are doing a good job, but a lot of it is really, really bad. So now Adam Schefter is putting out a tweet about the Packers. Former Packers president Bob Harlan is royalty in Green Bay. His son Brian is an agent who represents John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh has deep Midwestern roots and ties. If the Packers decide they want to change head coaches, that would be Big Flower. Harbaugh would be the most logical replacement. That's really interesting. I think Matt LaFleur might be in trouble. It's one of those things, but I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. The team looked really bad last night anytime you choke it up the way they did. But the kicker missed 3 kicks. Uh, Jordan Love played amazing in the first half, terrible in the second half, missing throw after throw after throw. So I don't know if that's going to be, and they didn't have Micah Parsons, who was supposed to be a big part of their defense, got injured. So I don't know, and Devontae Wyatt. I don't know if that's enough to get rid of LaFleur, who's considered one of the best coaches out there. So I don't know. This cycle is going to be wild, man. Going to be wild, man. See where all these people end up at. Doge says, I wasn't very good. Yeah, but you don't have to say that, Doge. Nobody knows. You think anybody's going to remember how you played at rugby at New Paltz? No. They don't even have my stats from baseball. You know what's weird? They have a thing where you can go and look at all the past seasons for all the sports and everything, but it doesn't go it doesn't go back all the way to the 90s. So I can't even look up now I have my stats because of course I kept my stats because, you know, but I can't even look it up on the website. But factually I did play. Yeah, but what I'm saying, Dodes, nobody going to remember. So you can tell them you were the greatest ever, Dodes. Sheesh, some of you people don't know how marketing works. Lindels, who is the defensive player? Well, there's so many. There's a lot of great defenders. Reuben Bain, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles is very good. Caleb Downs is a great safety. Caden McDonald is a great defensive tackle. There's a lot of good defensive players. But if you had to stack them, it'd probably be Reese and then Bain and then maybe Downs. The thing about Downs is he plays safety, so that's going to ding him. But to me, man, he's a versatile piece that you need. And we need all these people. We have nothing. Well, we have some pieces, but we need fortification everywhere. Joe Mike. Yeah. Murph. Yeah, that's what you could say. I was out there playing. You could say they didn't even keep score. There was no PFF grades for the rugby players. Kevin Callahan, my buddy, used to play Ruby, probably rugby in New Paltz. Well, he probably knew Dodes then, Callahan, depending on the time. One of our dudes played rugby. One of our catchers, Hispanic guy, I forget what his no was it him? I forget. Man, that was a long time ago, bros. Long time ago. But I think one of our catchers played rugby also. Our backup catcher. Not my main catcher. That was Tommy Seaman, of course. Jets need a real QB coach. I'll tell you an idea for a QB coach. We want to hear it? Who wants to hear my idea for the QB coach? Who wants to hear my idea for a QB coach? Jesus, I got to move this cup. It's messing me up. Who wants to hear my idea for a QB coach? You got to think creatively with these people. I played from 2000 to 2002. Oh, okay, so we didn't overlap. Doge says, let's hear it. Dunky Dunk says, go on, tell us. How about a man by the name of James Chadwick Pennington? You might say, Chad Pennington, what? Well, first of all, did you know that he's been a head football coach of Sayre High School from 2018 to the present? So he has coaching experience in high school, but still. And of course, he played in the NFL for however many years. Faced a lot of adversity, had 4 shoulder surgeries. Played 11 years in the NFL. Of course, for us mostly, and then Miami, kept hurting his shoulder. So faced a lot of adversity. But 5 years at Marshall with with Randy Moss, by the way, and now has been a coach. So he's interested in coaching. How do I know that? He's been a high school head coach. Why not bring Chad back? He's a Jet. He's a Jet legend. He's part of our alumni. He's somebody the fan base would get excited about. He's a guy that didn't have a ton of talent, but did go in the first round, if you remember, part of that huge draft. And so knows what it's like to be a first round pick, knows what it's like to be a backup, knows what it's like to be a starter, knows what it's like to face a lot of adversity, knows what it's like to be a quarterback without huge physical tools. So had to do it all up here. And he does have an interest in coaching because he's been coaching for the last 8 to 9 years here. So that would be the guy I would go to. And on top of all that, on top of it all, he was teammates with Aaron Glenn. So he should have some sort of relationship or, acquaintanceship with Aaron Glenn. So I think this would be the perfect pick. Would he want to do it? I don't know. His kids, he's got a couple of kids that are, one I think now is in college, another one might be getting started in college. I don't know exactly his sons. He was basically coaching his sons essentially. But I think they might be all done at high school level, and they're going on to college now. So there's a lot there. And and the fans would, of course, like that, I think. So yeah, I like Chad. He's a Jets favorite. Yeah, and I think he'd be a great quarterback coach. And again, you're not hiring him to be the OC or something important like that. It's just a quarterback coach. I think he would do well. Joe Mike says, I love it. Now, yeah, well, hey, look, if this channel does nothing but become a feeder channel to the big mainstream media to get good ideas out of the mouth of idiots like Country Club Connor, fine, fine. I mean, that's how it is anyway, Joe. You may not know this, but all of the Jet content creators listen to me and then go and make videos that say what I said, and then they do 10 times more business, and they get rich, and I'm sitting here with a few pennies. But so it already happens. That's the way it is. So join the inner circle. But yeah, let that idea come out of Connor Country Club Connor Hughes' mouth. It'd be a lot better. A lot more people would hear it. Maybe the fucking Jets would hear it. Because Chadwick Pennington is a guy, we could get him. It'd be, he'd be making his first step into the NFL. So, start thinking about perhaps coaching, at the NFL level. It'd be a good stepping stone. That's why he would want to come here. We would pay him well. It's a logical step. It would be a good news cycle. Former Jet Chad Pennington coming back to coach the quarterbacks. Oh, wow, that's amazing. So, he also suffered. This was a tough son of a bitch. People forget he just kept getting injured, especially toward the end there. But he kept coming back. Another shoulder surgery and another shoulder surgery. But the son of a bitch kept coming back. I mean, that's a tough son of a gun. And so, never was great or anything, but was one of the great players in Jet history. Did you know about Chadwick Pennington? 3 times led the league in completion percentage. 3 times. Each time at the exact same number, 68.9%. Interesting. Wait, this says he led the league in, it's not with the Jets. When he went over to the Miami, he led the league in yards, 3,653. According to this, I'm not sure if that's right. First year at Miami, he went 11-5 and led the league in passing yards. Just our luck. But then he kept getting injured again and again, and then he was out of the league. But also led the league once in touchdown passes with 22, according to this. But also had a season where he led the league in interceptions with 16. That was when he was with the Jets. He had more interceptions than you might think. I mean, he was never great, but he was good. Records 8-4. 4-5, 8-5, 1-2, 10-6, 1-7. He got injured too much. He didn't have enough seasons of goodness with us. Basically had 3 good seasons with us, including 2006. It was probably his best season. Though he did throw 16 interceptions that year. So Chadwick Pennington faced a lot of, longtime NFL quarterback, faced a lot of adversity, both in playing and in injuries. I think he'd make a great quarterback coach. Had to do it all up here. Didn't have any physical tools. Slow as could be. And, of course, did not have a great arm either. Barely good enough. So had to do it all with his mind. So I think that makes for a good coach. We know he's interested in coaching because he's been doing so at the high school level for 8-9 years now. And he did overlap with AG, so there's some familiarity there. So I think it's a perfect pick. And we're not going to have our choice. Obviously, we got to get this goddamn thing going in the right direction before we could have our choice of really good coaches. So we sort of have to develop and make them. That's why people should be rooting for Aaron Glenn, because we have to make these coaches ourselves. We're not going to get John Harbaugh. We're not going to get Mike McDaniel. We're not going to get these people. We got to hope to develop them. And so we'll see. Victor Green, I don't think has been coaching. Now, Jim Leonard would be great, but he's in high demand. I don't know how he feels. I would love to get Jim Leonard as the DC. Leonard and Pennington would be great hires. If that happened, wow, that'd be fantastic. Those would be 2 great hires. The staff would be looking much better. And I think there'd be a lot more optimism. Yeah, and Curtis Martin, like, yeah, bring in some of these dudes. I mean, we should be leveraging what it is we can leverage. I mean, we're in a tough spot, obviously. We can't leverage a lot of stuff. But Curtis Martin, for the PR and for the intelligence value, where he could talk to fucking Woody on an ownership level and talk some sense into him at times, hopefully, and the good PR and putting a good face on the organization. People don't like Woody, and I don't think Woody understands this. He's created a PR nightmare. But you just like Mark Davis. People don't like Mark Davis. He's a scumbag. But now he's got Tom Brady as his wingman. So now anytime the Raiders ownership situation comes up, Tom Brady's name comes up. And now nobody thinks about that doofus, Mark Davis, as much as they used to. Now they think about Tom Brady as being the de facto owner. Brilliant PR move. And not only PR, but it works in practice. Although Brady failed at a lot of things in his first year, he tried to get Ben Johnson, no go. He hired Chip Kelly for $6 million as OC. That was horrible. He wanted the old man, Carroll. That didn't work out, fired. So, I mean, a lot of things that Brady did his first year were pretty bad. He also did not want Sam Darnold. So, I mean, basically every decision that Brady made his first year was wrong. You know, just because a guy's a great quarterback doesn't mean they're going to be a good executive. You know what I mean? Now, he may turn out to be and may be fine, but so far, no bueno. Oh, well, maybe. Dodes with the conspiracy theory. I like it, Dodester. Joe Mike is Connor Hughes because Connor Hughes is always carrying a mic. So he's Joe Mike. Get it? He's always mic'd up because he's a narcissist. He probably walks around his house with a microphone. He's probably like, "What do you want to eat tonight, honey?" And he's holding his microphone. Probably does a little broadcast before they eat dinner. uh, that's a good one, Dodester. That is a good one. I didn't even think of that. That's right. He would want to comment on here to get certain information out of me that he can then use and claim as his own brilliant idea. You see how it works? They all steal from the fucking geniuses. It's like what's his name? Nikola Tesla. You know, everybody stole off of that guy. He had all the ideas, and Edison and all these people just stole it all. They stole it all. By the way, did you know, speaking of conspiracy theories, did you know that when Tesla died, the U.S. government sent an agent of the government to his house and took all of his research, all of his boxes and papers and things he had around? He apparently had all these boxes of research and stuff that he did. And the U.S. government just confiscated it. And who did they send to confiscate it? Donald Trump's grandfather. True story. Starting to see more traction. Traction from who, Jojo? You got to be specific. What do you mean traction? I haven't seen anything in the news about it. We need a president of football? I don't think so. B-Trav says, Chad is 49. Not sure if he would do it at this point. Yeah, he's 49. I mean, why not? That's a perfect age. I mean, the kids are grown up, I think. I don't think he's got any more coming. It seems like a perfect age to jump in, be the quarterback coach for a while if he really likes it, then become an offensive coordinator and so forth and so on. Heifer Tube. Big Green is here. Yeah, what's the differences between a conspiracy theory and the news? About 6 months. That's true, man. A lot of these conspiracies come true. Conspiracy facts, they call them. Joe the Jet G. Ty Simpson gives me Chad Pennington vibes. He has a better arm than Chad does. Ty Simpson is just a very difficult evaluation. I can see the comparison. Simpson has, in fact, no. Well, I could see some of the similarities, but Simpson has a better arm than Chad did, and he's way more athletic than Chad. Chad couldn't run at all. Ty Simpson is a above average athlete. But Simpson is a very difficult evaluation. He supposedly had a back injury in the beginning of November that caused his decline. He was playing at an A level up until that point and was looking like a surefire first rounder, top of the first round. But then he started playing like crap, and they said, well, he's got a back injury, and then it was revealed he also has some sort of a bursa sac thing in his elbow, and then he got hurt in the last game as well. And you could say, well, it's the injuries. That's why he didn't play well. So if he's injured, he's going to play like he did in the first half of the year. Maybe, but maybe now the guy's injury prone. Maybe he's not, his body isn't capable of withstanding, being tackled a lot, which in the NFL is only going to get worse. So, and plus, he's only got 15 games of starts under his belt. That's not good. And so he's a very tough evaluation. It's very risky to take him. He could turn out to be very good because what he does well, he does very well. And he could turn out to be terrible. He's just super risky. I don't think the Jets should be in the risky category unless you have some sort of specific plan where it's like, okay, we're going to, and I said this in a video, we're going to sign Malik Willis and back him up with whoever, another veteran. And we're going to trade the 33rd pick back and and in that trade back, we're going to pick up a third round pick in addition to the second pick that we're moving back to. So that way, in the first 3 rounds, we're going to have 5 picks now. And then in that third round, you're going to take Ty Simpson and just let him come in and maybe roll the dice that way in case Malik Willis doesn't work out. If you're doing some kind of plan like that, I don't have any problem with it. But if you're going to take him in the first round with all that risk, no. Too much risk. Now, like I said, he could turn out to be great because when I was watching him, and I was scouting him, not just watching him, in the first half of the year, I thought this guy's phenomenal. You can ask Jets Chaos, ask Jeremy. He was texting me about him, and I was while the games were going on, and I was telling him, no, this kid's got it, and that's because that's how he was performing, and he was performing in the SEC against high-level competition. And I thought, all right, well, this guy's definitely a top 5 pick. Look at this. But then he took a nosedive in November, and so with all of those factors, like he really fucked up by going back to it by backing up Jalen Milroe last year, because he needed to have this year last year. If he had this year last year, the same year he had this year last year at another school or whatever, or he beat out Milroe or whatever it is, and then put another 15 games this year, and so he had 30 starts, okay, and then you figure it would be better, more consistent performance, then he would have been a surefire first round top pick. But now there's so much risk and unknown with him. You got to have a very specific plan if you want to go with Ty Simpson. He has a lot of good traits. There's a lot of things you like about him, but all those things I mentioned, there's a lot of risk on the scale. And one of the things that the Jets have not been good at is weighing properly the risk involved. That was one of the problems with Zach Wilson. It wasn't that you took Zach Wilson that was the problem. It was that you took him with the second overall pick. If you took him in the second round or something like that, it would have been fine because there was a lot of risk on his plate. There was a lot of upside and potential too, but there was so much risk in the equation that to me you cannot spend a number 2 pick on any guy who has that much risk in the equation. But then again, I'm in risk management, so But thank you for the donation, Joe the Jet G. Appreciate that, my guy. B Trav C Club Connor is insufferable. Yeah, and we got to listen to him though because he has sources, and some of those sources are on the Jets, and so we have to suffer through the big three: Country Club Connor, Zach Rosenblather, and Dick Chimney. Those are the big three, and you got to listen to them because they do have sources, and they do tip their hand on what the Jets are going to do sometimes. So you got to get very well, or you could become now. You could become an Inner Circle member, and one of the things that the Inner Circle members get is my interpretation of the tea leaf readings when these guys do their podcasts and their little shows and everything. I listen to those and watch them, and then I do an interpretation for the members. Like 90% of what they say is total garbage, but you got to know what the 90% of garbage is and what the 10% of useful information is. So that's the way it is, and so that's just one of the many benefits of becoming an Inner Circle, Inner Triangle member. Yeah, that's another thing. That was a very interesting night, JoJo. And I was in the comments. Now you notice at that time, that was when I was on the Thursday show. Who remembers Frankie on the Thursday Thick of It show with Green Bean? Raise your hand. That was when I was the guy on Thursday Thick of It with Green Bean back in the day. Now you will recall that was a Thursday show that Green Bean did, but I was not on it. And there was a reason, because if I was on it, I would have gone hard after Country Club Connor, and he probably would have gotten boxed into a corner where he could probably been sued because he was doing things that were legally actionable, in my non-lawyer opinion. So Green Bean didn't want that smoke, so I was in the chat. And a lot of people were getting the wrong information out of that interview, and I was trying to explain it, but nobody was listening to me. Familiar place. The difficult evaluations separate the good from the great. Yeah, it's true. I mean, you do need to be able to evaluate the talent very, very well. It's very true. Phil the Jet Adam, how many quarterbacks taken round 2, 3, 4 make it with bottom 5 teams? Well, it's very rare. You can count on one hand. It doesn't even matter about bottom teams. I mean, it's very rare. Dak Prescott. The Cowboys had 2 in a row, Dak Prescott and Tony Romo. But they're just rare. Brock Purdy, Russell Wilson. I mean, it happens, but it's just rare. And one of the reasons it's rare is because these guys they get overdrafted because of position scarcity. So more of them go in the first round than probably should. And that's the thing. You could say all you want that Zach Wilson should have been taken in the second or third round, but there were many teams, many teams, who would have taken him with the second overall pick like we did. We weren't the only ones. And in fact, that's what we should have done. We should have traded that pick to the 49ers. They would have given us the world like they gave to whoever it was to get up to 3. And then they wound up taking Trey Lance, who has been a bust. But then they saved themselves in that same draft by taking Purdy in the 7th round. Crazy. But so we weren't the only ones who were infatuated with Zach Wilson. But at the same time, we should have realized that there's so much risk there. He was a boom or bust player, and he still might make it. Who knows? But there was so much risk there that you really want to take that guy in the second or third round. But the demand for the position won't let you do that. Because if we traded out of that and said, well, we'll trade out, we'll just take him in the second round. Well, he would have been gone. The 49ers would have taken him in a second. Would have taken him in 1 second. What college quarterback, if he gets his head on straight, is an absolute beast in 27? Well, there's one dude who, if he gets his head screwed on straight, makes all of these motherfuckers look like pikers, and that's Lenoris Sellers. So the guy you want to watch next year is South Carolina, Lenoris Sellers. This guy has traits that make your eyeballs pop out of your head when you're watching him. Problem? He doesn't know how to play quarterback. And I think he's close. So you want to watch South Carolina. I'll be watching them very, very closely. Because if he develops into a quarterback who can play the position efficiently and well and do all of the mental aspects that are very demanding of the position, he's 1-1 and it's not even close. He makes all these guys look like pikers. But he doesn't have the brain game down yet. And he had a lot of challenging circumstances at South Carolina this year. That's also what you have to watch with Beamer, Coach Beamer out there. I was surprised he didn't get fired, but he didn't. And now Coach Beamer better surround this kid with a good offensive line, good weapons, a good running game, all the things that you need, good play caller so that we can evaluate this kid. Now, he's going to have a lot of starting experience, so that's good. Like that, he's going to check that box. But, I mean, that kid is so talented, it's unbelievable how talented he is. You've never seen talent like this. I mean, Jesus. So, including the release, he has a quick release, which is great. In other words, it's not a strong arm, but it's like a battleship getting a cannon in place, like it is with Justin Fields. It's a quick release and a strong arm and running ability like you've never seen. And he's a big tank of a dude, but a tank with speed, elite speed. And he just needs to learn how to play the quarterback position at a high level. And he needs a good situation around him. And he didn't have that at South Carolina this year. So then we got to watch South Carolina very closely because he could be the best or he could be a bust. He could be a beast or a bust. We don't know. But that'll be an interesting one to watch. I mean, DJ Lagway kind of falls into the same category, not at the same height, in my opinion, but DJ Lagway is another one. DJ Lagway is transferring. Looks like he's going to wind up at Baylor. So I don't know if that's a great situation for DJ Lagway. But DJ Lagway falls into the same sort of category, but Lagway is also younger. So, whereas Sellers is certainly coming out next year. In fact, I think he's out of eligibility next year, I think. All right, nothing really coming out in the news. Quarterback Deuce Knight has committed to Ole Miss. He's a true freshman. Sam Levitt might end up at Miami, might end up at LSU. We don't know yet. But it'll be interesting to see where all these quarterbacks land and all that too. College football, while they need to fix the calendar, it is fun to watch. No doubt about that. Dunky Dunk says, I remember. Big Green says, I missed that. B. Trav says, I was listening to you, Frankie. Your takes have been dead on for years. Yeah, but you're one of the few, B. Trav. Tell a few friends or something. I mean, it's just so few. It's unbelievable. Yeah, yeah. You got to have, you got to have a system, but the fans have had it. I mean, this is like we're in a tough spot because the fans don't want to have any patience. I mean, we didn't even have any patience for Aaron Glenn, who's one of us. I mean, it was amazing to watch all these people turn on Aaron Glenn, and it's like, what did you expect? I told you in the summertime that the roster wasn't talented enough, and again, another example, not enough people listening to me like B. Trav does. But and then in the middle of the season, we traded Quinnen and Sauce, and people were wondering why the defense was historically bad. It was because we had historically bad players running around. And so we didn't even have patience for Aaron Glenn, one of us. He's a Jet, and we didn't even have patience for him, most of us. I did. But I did think he made a mistake, as I said, saying we're going to win and we're going to win now. That was probably a mistake. We're going to let Justin Fields play quarterback. That was probably a mistake. Steve Wilkes was a mistake. Steve Wilkes saying we're going to drive the defensive bus is going to be driven from the back. That was a mistake. That was pretty stupid. So a lot of mistakes made, but it's a first-time head coach. What do you expect? He's going to make mistakes. We have to hope he develops into something good. Wasn't going to be good right out of the box. Probably. The odds were. So, yeah, we need... I mean, that's why I'm saying Malik Willis is probably the answer here. And it kind of sucks. I think people are not going to be happy with Malik Willis. But he has a much better chance of actually turning out to be good than Justin Fields because he doesn't have as much of a track record of being bad in the league. His small sample size, he's been good, actually, as soon as he got to Green Bay. But it's been a small sample size. Big Green says, I want Sayin next year. Yeah, so next year you're going to have C.J. Carr, Lenora Sellers, Julian Sayin. If Moore goes back, Dante Moore, Arch Manning. That's a lot. Then you're going to have lower lights like Josh Hoover and Brandon Sorsby. There's going to be a lot of these motherfuckers, which is another reason why Moore should not go back to school. You're risking a lot by going back to school. You're risking injury. You're risking performance degradation. You're risking, and then you got a lot more competition for first-round picks. How many first-round picks can there really be? There's going to be a lot of these guys. And again, if Lenora Sellers gets his head screwed on straight, he's 1-1. Then Arch Manning's going to be 1-2. So now you're the third pick at best. Whereas in this draft, you probably, although I don't know. I don't know what the Jets are going to do. That's going to be a big, big story for the offseason as soon as, as soon as the Super Bowl's over and all that from February into March. All of February is going to basically be speculation about what the Jets are going to do. Pretty much, because it's going to be, I think I could be wrong. I would be very surprised if Muji could get the Raiders to trade that first pick. I'd be happy, but I'd be very surprised. I'd be happily surprised. I don't think they're going to move off of it. I just don't see it. There's too much hype around Nando. And if you look at it from Mark Davis's point of view, he's going to be like, well, there's all this hype around this kid. Even, and he seems to be the best pick, first of all. And then also, we can market the hell out of that, So I don't think they're going to move off of it. And so if that's the case, then that's a foregone conclusion. Then it becomes like, okay, what the hell are the Jets going to do? And that'll be a big major talking point for the NFL for February onward. Zach Wilson got $6 million, actually. But that just goes to show you. And who put him there? McDaniel. Where was McDaniel when he was coming out? San Francisco. So there were a lot of people in San Francisco who loved Zach Wilson. So, Dick Chimney Burner. Yeah, give me a like if you're in here. Click the like button, please. And if you like what we do, you think it's differentiated from other content on YouTube and elsewhere, please subscribe to the channel. Or consider joining the Inner Circle. It's just $2 a month at the lowest level, and you get lots of exclusive items, things you don't get anywhere else. Sanders? You mean Sellers, I think. Duncan Lloyd, do you have a college team that? No. Not really. And I think that's why I'm starting to like college football more and more, Duncan, because I just want to see good games. I don't have any real rooting interest at all because as old Dodes will tell you, SUNY New Paltz did not have a football team. That's one of the reasons he had to play rugby, because SUNY New Paltz doesn't have a football team. Xaverian High School, where I went, there in Bay Ridge, they at that time didn't have a football team either. Everywhere I went, they didn't have a football team. So I don't really have a rooting interest. I just look for good games, interesting stories. I want to know about the prospects. I want to watch these quarterbacks and grade them. And that helps me be objective. So no, I don't have any rooting interest. I mean, I'm starting to like Indiana because who doesn't like Kurt Signetti? I mean, how can you not like Coach Kurt Signetti? Probably that's another thing to think about with Nando. He's in the greatest coaching situation he could be in, and with a great team around him, and he's performing well, very well. But the Raiders going to have that situation? Uh, so is it going to look the same for the Raiders when they don't have a top-notch staff and they don't have a really good running game and a good offensive line and good receivers and tight ends and everything else? I mean, they have some of that. They have Genty and Bowers, but I mean, they don't have a lot. They don't have a lot. Big Green says no Kirk Cousins. I wouldn't mind Kirk Cousins, but I think Kirk Cousins makes the most sense for the Raiders, actually. So that's what I would try to convince them is why don't you just go sign Kirk Cousins? He's a dome quarterback, perfect bridge. I wouldn't mind him as a bridge for the Jets. He'd be the best quarterback we've had in a while. I'm all for Willis or Kyler. Well, Kyler stinks, so then he's no good. Sellers, yeah. We need to hit on our picks, yes. Well, let's hope so, Joe Mike. But yeah, that pertains to every team. You got to hit on your picks. If you miss, it sets you back. I mean, that's why the Raiders are in the problem are having the problems. They keep firing their head coaches, but the fact of the matter is that the general managers have missed on so many first round picks and other picks that the talent is how do you expect coaches to make something out of that roster? There's nothing on it. Name 6 players on the Raiders. You can't do it. Brock Bowers, Colton Miller, Ashton Genty, Geno Smith, Max Crosby. That's it. That's all the players they have. They don't have anybody. How can any coach win with a roster that's so depleted? And that's mostly because they kept overdrafting people and who stunk. Alex Leatherwood and all these people. So, yeah, every team you got to hit on your picks. It's the way draft and develop is the only way to make it. And then you complement that with some good, nice free agents, and we're going to spend big in free agency. I mean, what if we got Malik Willis and Romeo Doubs? Now, Romeo Doubs is a guy we might get. I think we have a shot because we'll overpay for him. I mean, if we offer him 18 mil, would he come here? I think so, especially if the quarterback was Malik Willis. You know, obviously the backup there, but we can't get Jordan Love. So we go Willis, and then we get Doubs, and it is generally accepted that Doubs will be let onto the market because they have Matthew Golden and they have Christian Watson and they have Jaden Reed and they have another one. They got all these people, so they can't allocate that much money to the wide receiver room. It's too much. They need to spread it around. So Dobbs is going to be on the market, and three ways we could appeal to him. One is money. 2 is, well, if we sign Malik Willis, now you have a quarterback you have some sort of relationship with anyways. And 3 is you can get an opportunity here to be the number 2 or maybe even number 1. Maybe it's 1A and 1B with Garrett. That's how you sell it anyway to him. To really, flourish in your career. And if we do that, that's not looking too bad. And then, of course, we re-sign Brees and do that. Now your offense is looking pretty good. And maybe we even go out there and make a big home run swing on Tyler Linderbaum and we get AVT. Now you have a phenomenal elite line. You have a really good wide receiver room. You have a good running game already. The tight end room is average-ish. That's pretty good. That's a selling point for Malik Willis anyways. So that's probably going to be the plan. Because I just don't think, I don't know. I kind of get the feeling Muji wants Mendoza, but we're not going to be able to get him. So then we need to go to plan B. So we'll have to see. Hank G, which of the teams got draft picks from in 2027? Who knows? You think we can predict 2027? Come on, Hank. Spin Max Dave, are you going to do any mock drafts soon? Probably need to wait until the season's over. I don't know. Depends. First of all, you need to wait until the season's over to know where people are picking. Second of all, you probably need to wait until the free agency period's over. For example, if we do land in, what if we sign in free agency Malik Willis, Romeo Dobbs, Alex Anzalone, Malcolm Rodriguez, uh, and a few other bits and pieces? Now your team looks a lot different. So how do you know what you need if you don't know about free agency? So I don't know, maybe in March. So probably not anytime soon. First of all, you got to let the playoffs play out so you know where teams are picking in the back ends and stuff like that. Phil Adams, Linderbaum signing for the Jets would turn everything around for me. Shows real intent. Well, we're going to have real intent. It's just how much do you want to pay a center? He's the second best center in football. You're going to have to pay $20 million to get him. And this is probably the dilemma and the struggle that the Ravens are going through right now. He deserves it because Creed Humphrey's number one. He makes 18. But now the market is a couple of years removed from when he signed that, so you're going to have to give Linderbaum 20, and then Creed Humphrey's going to ask for more from the Chiefs. But so you're going to have to top that, especially if you're the Jets. You got to overpay, of course. And so do you really want to spend $20 million on plus on a center? I'd probably do it. And what I would do is I would structure the cash so that it's a big cash payment this year, and then the cash gets less as you move along, and the cap hit gets, and the cap hit then is low. I'd probably do a big signing bonus in year one. So the AAV would be 20, 21, 22, but you're taking your medicine with it this year, and it's a 5-year contract, so you don't mind spreading out that big cash payment. So then it doesn't hurt you that much with the cap. Woody just needs to pay a big, needs to stroke a big check, and hopefully he is willing to do so. That's another reason he should sell a part of the team to Curtis Martin. But I'd probably do it, even though people would make fun of us to say a center is not worth 21, 22 million. They might be right. But I think for us, in our situation, if you can get a top 2 player at any position to come onto your team, you probably should do it. Now, we'll see if the Ravens are dumb enough to let him go. They were dumb enough to let Harbaugh go, so I don't know. If they sign him for that much, then obviously they're going to have to let other people go onto the market. So I'm pretty sure we would want to do that. It's just a matter of making sure the player wants to come here. I don't know. I don't know if any other teams would be willing to go that high. If there are, then he's going to choose those other teams, kind of like Joe Thuney back in the day. Linderbaum, Anzalone, and Likely. No, I wouldn't go Likely because we need so much on defense, and we already have Mason Taylor. And now you could do it, but I mean, we just need so much. We're going to need Alex Anzalone, Malcolm Rodriguez. We're going to need to sign a defensive tackle. We're going to need to sign an edge player. I'd love to have Jadeveon Clowney, like I talked about all summer. And look how he played for the Cowboys very well, as I kept pounding the table for Jadeveon Clowney, and the Jets would not listen. But I would sign Jadeveon Clowney for next year. The guy's just a savvy veteran who's solid as hell. And then we're going to need a safety, and we probably might sign some backup. And then we need to sign AVT. That's some money there, and then we need money for the quarterback. So I probably wouldn't go after Likely, though he's an intriguing piece. He will be sought after. We'll see if they let him go. Looks like they will. We don't know, but we're going to need a lot. Murph says, "I appreciate the time and knowledge." All right. Well, I appreciate all of you folks in the chat. So we'll call that a day for a coffee with Frankie. Thanks for joining. As I said, I would highly recommend the Inner Circle. Go ahead and join up. For $2 a month, you get exclusive items, which you get nowhere else. But if that's a little too much for your budget, subscribe to the channel and or give a thumbs up to this video. It's much appreciated. And with that being said, I will see you.